Well, hey, everybody. Hey, welcome to the Realine podcast where we talk about your faith, your family, and your money. I'm your host, Britton Rogers, the CEO and founder of Realine Bookkeeping, where we try to help business owners get back to their why, the reason why they started their business in the first place. And today on the pod is my good friend Zach Ford. And Zach, what's up, man? How are you?
How are you? Thanks so much for having me on. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, things are good. Working over here, just tax time and having all the all the fun stuff.
Well, I
So
know it, dude. I
yeah,
know
man.
it all about it. It's this time of year. It's like if our bookkeeping and CPAs can keep their head on straight, it
Yeah,
usually works out pretty good.
yeah. No, it's crazy. It's fun though. For me, it's fun because it just keeps me busy. But thank God we don't actually do taxes for people. That would be a nightmare. I think I would just stress out and be done. So, so well,
Yeah, I feel that.
yeah. So for my audience and for your audience too, this is maybe people don't know that we know each other. So that's
hmm
kind of fun. But we Zach and I worked together previously, not necessarily directly, but we worked together at Ramsey back in the day. How long were you at Ramsey?
It was going on 8 years. 2015 is when I started working there through 22, end of 22. And so seven plus years at Ramsey doing social content. So running the social content behind the scenes with an awesome group,
Yeah.
who's mostly still there, just cruising and bruising right now behind the scenes. But obviously we interface a lot on the financial side, or, anytime I need anything money wise, being able to see
Yeah.
your face as a trusted ally. Proving budgets was always
Y-
good. But yeah, man, it's 7.5. How about you? How long were you there for?
Yeah, I was there 2019. So 2019 to I was there almost 6 years, so not too far
Yeah.
behind you, but
Yep.
um yeah, man, it was a what a time, like love Ramsey. I know you do too and speak so high.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely. Yeah, no, great, honestly, incredible team. And, was honored to be there for the time I was able to be there. Nothing is forever. And so I feel like when God's got something on your heart, you got to lean into it. But honestly,
yeah.
as far as the people go, the mission, the vision, the values, like, such an incredible place to be and grow. I mean, honestly, for me, there's so many things that we wouldn't be able to do now if it
Yeah.
wasn't for Dave and the team behind the scenes there. And so I'm so honored to kind of be an alumni, if you will, from
Yeah.
there, and really wear that proudly, truthfully.
Yeah. It's so cool, man. I feel the exact same. Well, for my audience, this is Zach. Zach runs an awesome company in Columbia, Tennessee called Entersquare. So, Zach, just tell us a little bit too about Entersquare.
Yeah.
Like, how did Entersquare even get started? Was this something you were doing while you were at Ramsey, or was this something that you just started, from the ground up, like
Yeah.
when you left Ramsey? Or yes, to talk a little bit about that, just so our audiences
Sure.
have some context there.
Yeah, absolutely. So Entersquare, we are a marketing agency here in the greater Nashville area, as some would recognize. A few people know Columbia. If you know Columbia, it's south of Franklin. But we get to serve personal brands, artists, musicians, anybody that has a heart to change the world with their message and their services. So brands that are looking for high quality, high quantity, trustable content and a partner that can help them create that content. That's where we come in and serve. And so that looks like
Yeah.
strategizing content, coming up with the actual social plans, and then being able to script, capture that content, edit it on the back end, and then distribute it to the wild, which is the very much so the wild west of social media right now, across TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and more. That put LinkedIn and X and all that in the and more a second.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we've been doing that. Like you said, it's been 3 years since I left Ramsey, doing that for Ramsey, dedicated there, and have been able to build, honestly, like an incredible team
Mm.
who is better than me in many rights of someone who was really trying to be at the top of my game and is trying to be at the top of my game. I've been able to meet people who are better than me,
Mm.
getting the message of brands to their audiences, to their hopeful audiences. And so we've
Yeah.
really focused in on serving brands to help communicate what is the thing they know that makes their product so great. And so we've been doing that, really heavily the last 3 years. Entersquare actually started in
Mm.
2014 which before I joined forces with Ramsey, my
Mm.
wife and I were at a real crossroads. I had been doing a lot of social consulting, content, and design was very heavy in the social world during that time. You know, prided myself at learning all the design tools and to be able to market social content through social. And Instagram was pretty pictures and designs during those days. There wasn't even a video upload feature
Oh, wow.
in 2014, 2015, 2013 era. So really getting to see what is now YouTubeification slash vinification of the world that existed then. But we
Yeah.
started Entersquare in 2014 with a heart to be a brand in the social space to help people connect to their audiences. We had a ton of people who were frustrated by the Facebook algorithm at the time. It felt like if you were doing anything of value, it was more difficult to come in contact with your audience if you weren't purchasing ads. And
Mhm.
so that just got me super heated and pissed off on the behalf of brands that we were working with.
Yeah.
And actually, the first Entersquare was our own social platform. And so we, the ultimate goal for us then was to not just be someone who helps connect people to audiences on existing platforms, but if
Yeah.
we're operating on algorithms that we can't control, what can we do
Mm.
to actually change the game and so build a new game? So
Yeah.
we're still very much about, if you know, behind the scenes, we'll get into it in a little bit. We're still very much in that industry and our business now. We get to help so many brands and also come up with really cool tools that help creators and brands alike. But yeah, that's kind of the short overview. Since
Yeah.
2014, we've been about this business. Really took a interesting path going. I had, getting the opportunity to work for someone like Dave, at the
Yeah.
time in my brain, it's like, well, I could take him on as a client. If you know anything about Ramsey, Dave's like, I'm gonna get all of you, so I was, really in the trenches with that team that is at Ramsey, the social side and the creative side of that team. When I started working at Ramsey, Dave
Mm.
was sitting around 300,000 followers on Instagram. And finally, me and the team behind the scenes there, a lot of great minds, were able to get it to over 1.2 million followers within a year of starting to really tweaking on it. And so
Insane.
from there, it was just kind of a rocket ship in terms of social content and trying to be innovative, but also
Mhm.
not change the principles, focus on things that actually provide value and say the things Dave was saying on the air
Yeah.
for 30 years straight, but
Yeah.
yet doing it in a new and exciting way. And so many learnings from that, we'll keep going back to it, but that is
Yeah.
Entersquare. We get to do that now with so many brands and it's been a
That's awesome.
wild ride since 2014. First LLC was filed in 2014 and just keeping it alive, baby. Keep it alive.
That's funny, man. Yeah, my favorite Dave thing about social is when he was saying Tic Tac instead of
Oh yeah.
TikTok. I was
Oh,
like,
dude.
he's like, I don't want to use that.
Yeah, dude, that was a
So
war.
funny.
That was a behind the scenes war.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
getting Dave and company, I would say anybody, not even just Dave, TikTok really, social media platforms
Mhm.
are never the cool kids on the block until everybody decides at one collective moment they're the cool kid on the block. But,
Yeah.
we're still making fun of LinkedIn. You know what I mean? Like LinkedIn's
Yeah.
still
Yeah. Yeah.
getting the brunt of the jokes, but one day it's gonna wake up and be like number one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah. They're gonna have all the. I think that they
yeah.
actually added like a video feature, right?
Oh yeah, it looks feels just like
LinkedIn
reels.
did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
How do you
Yeah, but yeah,
How do you I mean, because like, so one thing I really appreciate about you and watching some of the stuff that you've posted is that you keep people informed about, like, the most
yeah,
recent trends. I think that that's one
hmm
thing that, as somebody who, I don't necessarily aspire to be a creator,
hmm
but there are tons of people who do, and they
sure,
say, like, "Dude, I wanna make this my full-time job, and I wanna make money from it,
yeah,
and I wanna, like, stay home, and I wanna provide for my family this way." So if you're brand new to the game, like, what is the biggest piece of advice, like, you would give to somebody who's brand new to it?
hmm
Because obviously there is, I'll call it, a science behind it,
absolutely,
in the sense of, like, like, one of the biggest things that stood out in my mind was a video you posted not long ago that was talking about, hey, if you're on Instagram, or per thousand views, you're gonna make
hmm
50
yep,
cents, per thousand
yep,
views, or
uh huh,
100, or a
yep,
dollar per thousand views. So if you're brand new to the game, talk to me a little bit about
yeah,
that, and just like, what is how do you get started? Like, what's
hmm
the, you know what's the best practices for that?
Yeah. So, in an era where you can be anything, the question that we should be asking more and more is what should we be? And so I think
Mm,
that, you can be a fishing creator. You can have a podcast. You can be on TV. You can do so much, especially with the power of AI now. Like, we've never been in a time, and my personal belief is this: we've never lived through a time where there is more capability than there is right now. But the thing time and time again that I feel like is missing is not just capability, but it is the actual tried and true ability to do the things we can't help but do. And
mm,
authenticity is another word people will use for it. But capability is incredible right now. But what
mm,
is the actual thing that we should be doing based on who we are, what our goals are, what actually creates a sense that we are doing what we are made to do?
yeah.
That is the question that I don't hear enough people asking right now. And,
Mm,
one of the first things we do when we sit down with any brand, any person, is try to get really clear on what is it that you feel you are put on this earth to do, and does the content you're creating match those things? You would be surprised to see how rare it is that you get overlap in those two things.
mm,
And so the main thing I would say to anybody who's getting started is to really get clear on why you're doing what you're doing. I'm
mm,
doing a lot more talking about this lately because
yeah.
you can print 400 graphics right now with Canva Bulk Create. You can do a lot of stuff with AI behind you, but who's to say you're not going to hate your life when you
Yeah.
get down this rabbit hole and you build an audience of 4 million followers who all
Mhm.
want fishing reels from you every day? And you're like, I can't stand fish. I don't know what I was thinking. So the main thing I would say right now, that if you're listening to this, that you need to do is get clear on what is your why. Simon Sinek wrote an awesome book called Start With Why. And
Mhm.
it's the golden circle of, a lot of us know what we do. Like, I could tell you I make this type of content. I can maybe tell you how I do it. I sit down every day, I hit
Mhm.
record, and I do it. But the real question of why am I doing that? What
Mm,
is the thing that makes me want to move in this direction? And the brands that win know why. I mean, it's absolutely it. And
yeah.
it's free to do that, by the way. It's 100%. Like, I don't care who tries to sell you on a cost
Yeah.
of or sell you on a package or a tool. There's so many great branding advisors out there, but the hard journaling work of what is on my heart and why do I care about helping people with this issue is a
Mm,
pen and paper. And
mhm,
the more and
mhm.
more we lean in with creators, it's like, if you can get a sense of direction on that, our team can come out and enhance it. But what I cannot
Mm,
do is replace you. I can never replace,
yeah.
or it'll be pointless. You're gonna hate your life. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
the algorithm is going to promote what we prepare for it. If
Yeah.
it's doing its job, it's gonna get even more scary in this world where creators who may not have the best quality, they may not have the best content, it will become amazing at knowing who is most likely to engage with that video and getting it to those people. And
Mhm.
so as the
Mm,
algorithm continues to refine for interests, you're going to see this trapped feeling of, I've built this audience and I can't speak about anything else, or my views go way down. And so getting that right as close as you can up
yeah.
front is the advice I would give to anybody. And then it becomes a series of, how do you navigate the road if you find out you're not in an area that gives you life or gives you some sense of meaning.
Yeah.
And so I would say that would be I know that's a whole piece right there, but I would
Yeah.
really advise anybody who is starting to upload content that
Mhm.
you absolutely can get clear on that. And then it's all fun. And then it's like, oh my gosh, now that I
Yeah.
know that I feel like I'm made to do,
Mm,
let's party. And
yeah.
there's 1,000 ideas we can come up with because of that. But getting
Yeah.
really clear on the change you want to see happen in the world is really important.
Yeah. I think too, one thing that I feel like I've heard you say in the past is you don't need a fancy camera. Like, you don't necessarily need, like, for us, like, we're very blessed. We have like really nice lights, and we have a nice
Hmm.
sign and like all of that stuff.
Yeah.
but you don't necessarily need that to get started,
Right.
especially if you have what you're talking about. If you know your why, you know, like, hey, this
Yeah.
is what I want to talk about. This is what I'm passionate about. You know, you don't necessarily need all the fancy tech and different things to get started.
Yeah.
I'll say, is that something that you still feel like is really true?
Yeah.
Because I know a
I
lot of people are like, well, I don't have a $5,000 budget to go buy lights and a
yeah.
camera and all of those things. Because I've felt that even. But
Sure. Well, and I think at the end of the day too, it's like I'm seeing more and more people having the budget to do those things, but it isn't the linchpin. It isn't the actual thing that makes a difference. It's the
yeah,
conviction over the ability to pay for an expensive camera. And I think
hmm,
that that cannot be bought. The ability
yeah,
to be convicted on a topic is not you can't fake. You can I mean you can try to fake it. You can be really good at speaking, you can be really good at articulating concepts, but if
yeah,
you don't come alive when you're talking about making a topic that could be complicated to some people really simple,
mm,
then you need to reevaluate. And a phone quality is not going to fix that. Like this camera that's sitting behind the camera, the laptop here doesn't
yeah,
change that. And I think that,
mm,
I do think we're living in a world where we're about to be able to drag and drop this podcast into ChatGPT and it makes it look like the most expensive podcast because it takes this circle of my face and then puts it in the ESPN background. Like it's just, but it can't take the soul. It's not replicating what
yeah,
we feel is yet. I mean,
yeah,
if it
yeah,
can be
no, yeah,
recorded with a laptop, AI is coming for it, but or done on a computer. But I really do believe though, truthfully, that the camera quality, it's not, it's the, you'll hear me say that. It's like literally, it's like the phone you already have. It's like the best camera to use for social media content is the one you already have. And
yeah,
it's like this, I'm recording this right now on my laptop. I mean,
yeah,
like that's still like, to think that you can use a laptop for a video is ridiculous still. Think about it. But
right,
it's fine. We're here. You
yeah,
see me, you can read my brand here. Shout out branding. You could read your
yeah, yeah, yeah,
branding. And so the best camera is the one that you have. Then you can get better if you're really trying to. I think there's a stewardship component to
hmm,
quality that is important. It's like our team, we teach content for a living to a lot of people. And so I
yeah,
find
good,
myself, again, what should we be asking that question? What should we do? And it's like, well, we have the team, we have the staff, we
mm,
should be uploading content to Instagram every single day of the week. Like
yeah,
there's no excuse, and so we give the advice, we should take the advice. And so we're
yep,
working really hard to do that these days where, but that's where you can tweak. It's like, okay, what camera quality we use, what audio quality we use. And a
yep,
lot of times, I would really advise that you edit on the back end, but get out there and
yeah,
be on camera before you
right.
shut yourself down or self edit,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I think that plays into kind of what I wanted to ask you too, because I think even for me, one of the biggest fears, I'm going to call it fear, is getting in front of the camera.
Hmm.
Like, even, part of the reason I didn't start a podcast was actually because I was like, I don't know if I don't know if I'm, feel comfortable in front of the camera.
Sure.
And you sit down in front of the camera and it turns on and you feel all these nerves and anxiety and all of these things. And you're like, okay, is what I really have to say going to resonate? Like, is it
Yeah.
actually going to touch someone? But I think what you're saying is like, but if you have this in your gut, like if you have this
Yeah.
in your spirit, like, I'm passionate about, I don't want to kind of what you're talking about earlier. I don't want business owners getting sucked down and bottlenecked in the weeds of finance. Like that's what I'm passionate about, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And so I don't want you or somebody else like being so focused on this that you can't go help these other creators
Yep.
create.
Yep.
So talk a little bit about what you've seen in your experience from your career about
Yep.
people overcoming just the fear of getting in front of the camera and getting the content out there.
Yeah. I think it's good. I think there's a quote that I go back to. One of the first graphics I made for our boy Dave back in the old 2016-ish time period.
Yeah.
He used to use this alliteration on stage when he would talk about fear, and it was fear stands for false evidence appearing real. And you
Mm,
may have heard that before. And so I would say challenge those fears. And you don't know until you step into the arena. You may step into an arena and you've never been afraid of it before, but now you're terrified. I
yeah.
would say that would be an example of somebody testing out what those fears are. I think in the world of public speaking, I think the actual study is that people would rather die than to be in front giving their, their public appearance, even if it's on a camera. So,
Yeah.
talking about that from that side, it's a huge fear. But also, when you turn a camera on, do you die? No.
Yeah.
The stats show they would rather die than be seen on camera. So I think that's false evidence, right? So I think for me, people do have strengths, people do have weaknesses, and they have things where they're better. There are people who are more articulate on the
Mm.
written word than in front of a camera. And
Yeah.
there are people who have way more trust on camera than they do on a written word. Myself, I love writing, but I'm better on a microphone than I am writing my content. I've got
Yeah.
typos, you know what I mean? Shout out copywriting, copy editing for that matter.
Yeah.
But I would say there are certain, everybody has a strength in it. But as far as a fear goes, an inhibitor, something that keeps you from leaning forward, I would challenge that.
Mhm.
I would demand evidence from it and say, is this true or is this not true? And if you
Mm.
really are terrible on stage because you've got something going on that keeps you from connecting, then those are things we can work around and do, but don't avoid it because of an idea somebody planted in your head in high school
Yeah.
or in, whatever. I look goofy on camera and then people are like, you look normal. Like, I don't know. So
Yeah.
I would say really challenge us, especially if you feel it in your gut that it's necessary. If you don't feel like you're doing it, we don't want to force anybody to do anything. I don't want to force anybody to be on camera who
Yeah.
doesn't feel the draw to it or the a pull to it. Yourself is one of those people. You felt the draw to be on camera for the last 5 years. I know that. We talked about that back in those days.
Yeah.
Um, and
Yep.
thank God you're leaning into it. But like, I
Yeah.
think the overall thing is demanding evidence from that. False
Mm.
evidence appearing real, as cheesy as that sounds,
No, it's good.
is you demanding evidence from those fears. I mean, it's what 99% of the time they're just imaginary, and it's like
Yeah.
you're afraid of something that doesn't even exist. And so I would challenge that for speaking. I would challenge that for writing. I would challenge that for you thinking like, oh, I'm not the idea guy. I'm afraid to
Mhm.
seem like somebody who comes up with these ideas. And the
Mhm.
reality is like, how do you know if you've never pushed yourself or challenged yourself? And so I would definitely say lean into the creating evidence game versus the
Mhm.
cowering and fear game.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's good. I think that was something that honestly I didn't even know about myself back when we were talking about that was like, gosh, I mean, because leading up to that, like all growing up, like I could preach in front of a church. I could
Mhm.
stand on stage at Ramsey in front of, 1,000 people. But to sit down and actually put a phone in front of my face or, camera and actually
Sure.
start recording and talking about finance was this
Mhm.
fear that I had to like, I guess I was telling myself a lot, like, hey, or maybe it was,
Yeah.
we're Christian people, we're spiritual people. Like maybe this is just the devil telling me, that like,
Yeah,
hey, you're not
sure.
good enough kind of thing, like a fear from the enemy. And so
Yeah.
I think that your advice is just so spot on there. Just you kind of just have to
Yeah.
do it, and
Yeah, you have to do it. And I would also say too,
reps.
like I hate filming myself in public if I don't have someone else there. Like
Yeah.
if you follow me on Instagram, I'm like goofing off on stories all the time or whatever. But like, we've been in an office space. There was a period of time where I had people in the office space who were renting desks for me. And it felt like my phone's in my pocket, but it felt a million miles away to be able to actually do it.
Yeah.
It's that like the tension was like out of reach. It's like,
Yeah.
I can't do it. I can't. And if you know me, you'd be like, what? You felt that way? You're not afraid of camera at all. But so I think that there are situations, you got to know yourself and where
Mm,
am I best to record? Maybe I'll set up a phone tripod in my car and then
mm,
that gets rid of the tension. Maybe I need to be able to go and wait till everybody's out of my house and then I can record. There's a
mhm.
few different creators who talk about this famously where they can't create their vlogs with other people around who really know them because they put on a persona. Like even for me right now, it's like
Yeah.
you dial it up and you're in it
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
your audience needs that to connect and be dynamic.
Yep.
But if you got other people around, even myself, if there's somebody else in here right now, I might be very like, oh, hey, what's up, dude?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think everybody's got a style they've got to work around or quirks, but
Mhm.
I feel like if you can put yourself in an environment where you feel comfortable, it's amazing. You get these creators who, generally have some sort of social anxiety. Mr. Beast talks about this famously. Jimmy Donaldson's like publicly known as like having social anxiety and working with all these people.
Yeah.
On camera, you would never know that. And so
Never know.
sometimes
Yeah.
when you get those reps in, it can create a real sense of like, okay, my barrier drops and now I
Mhm.
have connection ability. But you got to be able to figure out what's your sweet spot. Where is that place you can get into to get the best content if that's something that you really care about doing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, man, I love that. It kind of forces my brain to go to like, okay, then, okay, we get in front of the camera, right? Like we've kind of overcome the fear. How do we then stay creative? Because like I know that the biggest thing, that you're on top of because you run this agency, right? The trends,
Mhm.
algorithms, the ad spend. So
Yep.
talk a little bit about like, is there a education component that like each creator, like okay, like let's
Mhm.
say I'm going to be a finance creator, like I need to stay on top of X, Y, and Z in the industry so that I
Yep.
actually know what I'm talking about. Do you feel like every creator needs to do that to some regard to be able to stay relevant and stay on top of the game? Because sometimes you'll see creators kind of dip off a little bit just with because they're not staying on top of the trend. Or talk a little bit about more about
Yeah,
that.
I mean, I think about trends like cheat codes in games. It's like when we grew up with like left, right, up, down, up, down. Like I think
Yeah.
that trends are cheat codes, but it's
Mm.
irrelevant if you don't know how to play the game. Like it's really one of those things where it's like my homies when we were playing Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter were already insane, and then the next level for them is trends.
Yeah.
It's cheat codes, and so I would
Yeah.
say they're a pro move. Trends are a pro move.
Hmm.
There is a famous meme going on right now, slash, there are a lot of instances of creators attempting to follow trends and really failing publicly with it. One right now that's going on is McDonald's CEO sitting down product reviews calling the burger products. And it's just
Mm.
like so stiff. And you're like, bro, somebody said, put your phone up and film and it'll work. And he did it. And then everybody's like, what is going on?
Yeah.
So I'm actually a big fan of the Big Arch. Shout out
Yeah.
McDonald's. I think it's
There you go.
actually great marketing because he did try. And I think
Yeah.
it's savage how the internet was just like, who is this guy? If you haven't looked it up, CEO of McDonald's tries the Big Arch, quality
Yeah.
products. Anyways, I
Yeah.
would say, but truthfully, like trends are cheat codes. And if you have access to the understanding of like, okay, if I do this, it'll really push my presence forward, or the Instagram
Yep.
algorithm is really going to favor me today. But it does not beat principle. It does not
Mm.
beat slow and steady wins the race, And
Yeah.
so I think that the market is always changing, like the actual materials. I think about another example I would use is like the housing market, right? I live in a brick house, but there's been 1,000 different materials you could build a house with since my brick house was built in 1940.
Yeah.
It's still standing. Could I have done it with composite, vinyl, laminate, da 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 da? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, the content that wins is content that is like, I like that we're going back to Dave a good bit because I feel like he's a legacy creator, right? He's been doing it for
Yeah.
30 years. Odds and grandma's way of handling finances. It's like that he does talk about why is HELOCs the bad way to actually get a mortgage, or what is the current stock market doing with Bitcoin. He can touch on those things, but a
Yep.
lot of it is live on less than you make.
Yep.
And it's built from that, which is a rock solid foundation. So
Yeah.
again, social media, a lot of the content I create for social right now is like tried and true consistency.
Mm.
Is the it's the I think there's a lot of the like sexy stuff that is the trends or ways to create high volume content. But I would say if you're watching this and you're a creator, or if you
Yeah.
want to be creating content, like nail the basics of just showing up on camera consistently
Mm.
for a period of time. Then you start going, that's why they use that cheat code, is because I
Yeah.
keep frustrating myself by this. But if I add the super boost, then I can get to the next level. In
Yeah.
Mario, in level 2, in the tunnel game in Mario, if you hop above the bricks, you can go to the end warp.
Yep.
But I wasn't looking for that until I was like a super player. You know what I mean? Shout out
Yeah.
Mario. But anyways, that's the way I would look at trends. Important, definitely help you get ahead in the game, but they
Hmm.
should not replace actual tried and true things that you have to do no matter who you are.
Yeah. And
Like
I think
consistency.
yeah, I think there's just so many creators trying to go viral quickly and
Yep.
like I'm gonna go viral overnight.
Yep.
You might know this seen this person, but Elise Myers. Do you know who
Oh
Elise
yeah.
Myers?
Love Elise. Yeah.
Yeah. So I knew Elise back before my Ramsey days. I lived in Omaha where she lives,
Nice.
and
That's
I worked
awesome.
at a church and worked with her husband on staff. And then she just was creating this content that was getting some traction, whatever. And then
Sure.
overnight, she tells a story about, going with a boyfriend to go get tacos, and he ordered 100 tacos. And overnight, she's famous,
Sure.
but she wasn't like, I love that example because like she wasn't out to become famous, right? She was just doing this out of the love for
Yeah. Yeah.
being funny
Yep.
and making people laugh,
Yep.
and something that she was, doing on the side kind of thing at night or like early morning. Now she's everywhere and she's got millions of followers, and now she's on
Sure.
commercials. It's just in Times Square. It's just like unreal to me, but it's crazy how many people are striving for that overnight,
Yeah.
and it just,
Yeah.
it doesn't work that way, I don't think.
It doesn't work
So,
that way, dude. It doesn't work that way. Talk to Elise now. I don't know Elise personally, but I mean, obviously, I know the wake of the sincerity that she's known for,
yeah,
and to me, it's like I think that you can't chase that. You know what I mean? Like you can't,
yeah,
or else you're because you might not even be happy when you're there. Again, it's like
right,
you might attain that level of success and then be like, I hate this.
yeah,
Like I don't want to do this, and
yeah,
so that's what I would say to anybody who wants that level of like they see the success, they don't see the grind. I'm
right,
sure Elise had those days where just like any quality creator, when people would say we made the right person famous, I guarantee
hmm,
you people would say that about Elise.
hmm,
And I would say like there were some dark nights of difficulty to hit record because it's just like this is a beast that I got to feed and keep up with.
yeah,
Thankfully, she's in it for the right reasons. She's in it for the fans. I
yeah,
mean, shout out to Taylor
yeah,
Swift herself is in it for the fans. Like she's not doing music to be famous. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
I think, like she became otherworldly level of known, but the Taylor Swift, there's a documentary my daughter found for Taylor Swift. It was like when she was like just being discovered, they like made a
oh wow,
documentary about her and it was like something that you get on the back of a cereal box, but it was like all like home lo-fi videos and shout out DVD players in the car for
yeah,
kids. And my daughter had it. My wife and I were just like driving and listening to it, but it felt like a Duck Dynasty episode, really. Like I don't
yeah,
remember the name. I don't remember the name of it. It was like a super early documentary that somebody made for her.
yeah,
And she's like 11 and like can't stop writing songs. You know what I mean? And so it's like, I think that for those people that, try to idolize whatever they think success is going to feel like, I think that we're wired to be replicators in a way. Like I see you do
yeah,
something and I want to try it. And so,
mm,
and I'm not saying that's bad, but I do think to the point where you're like coveting, like, oh my gosh,
yeah,
if I have this, then I'll have freedom finally.
mm,
Rarely is going to feel like something where you're, actually enjoying it. And so, but for in the case of Elise Myers, like you got to go on
yeah,
your own journey and be who you are. And if that's that you have 4,300 followers and you're gathering everybody to talk about Magic the Gathering because you just love Magic the Gathering, that's awesome. That's incredible. Like we need more people like that. I don't want
yep,
people in it who are in it for the success. I think it'd be awesome if that person sits and really ends up, doing something unique and creative. I think that's where people connect with it. But
yeah,
you had said something. You asked me a question earlier when it comes to how do you find what you should be doing?
mhm,
And the thing that came to my mind was where is the demand right now? Are you sitting kneecap to kneecap with people who have the problem you feel called to solve? And I think a
mhm,
lot of people will just dive into this world and be like, well, I'm going to
mm,
do this because I'm trying to copy what somebody else is doing instead of listening to who is actually going to watch it. And I
mhm,
think it's one of those worlds where it's such an underutilized thing is just like listen to people's demands.
yeah,
And I think that it doesn't cost any money to go on Reddit and type the word, cooking. And everybody on there is asking questions about cooking. And, the number one most asked question is, where do you guys find the best measuring cups? And you make a video that's like, that you love your cooking creator and all you're doing is just answering Reddit questions of like, hey guys, this is a number one rated measuring cup on Amazon right now. I
yeah,
kept seeing everybody asking this question.
mm,
Watch that video go crazy because you banked it in something that is actual
right,
demand, not like, oh, I
mm,
think this will be good because so and so made a video about it.
yeah,
Genuine demand, like people who are asking for there to be a problem solved for them. And I think too many people are answering questions based on
mm,
what they want versus what people are actually asking them. And, so what if
yeah,
it doesn't get a billion views? you answered four people's real question, and then they found satisfaction in the fact that you answered their question,
Yep.
and they share that with four other people, and then four other people share that. And so
Yeah.
I would much rather
Crazy.
be doing things based off of what the actual demand is. The items on my menu should be based off what my customers want.
Mm,
Sure, you get like 4 or 5 items
yeah.
that you let's say you're a restaurant and you are going after like a specific flavor. Your double double should be because that's what you do and you want to see that on the menu. But if you're going to go introduce something wild and wacky onto your menu,
Mm,
it should be based around who you are genuinely called to be, and then also because people are demanding it. And I think
yeah.
that when those two things overlap, it's
Mm,
like everyone has a collective like finally. In and Out
yes.
just came to Columbia. Came to Tennessee. Everyone around us is like finally, because
Mm,
they listened to the market's demands. They didn't
yeah.
just like have a down year and then go, let's expand across the globe. They were
Right.
killing it across all of California and Texas. And
Yeah.
they're like, let's expand because people are like craving it.
Want
And
it
what
so bad.
happens? Their business booms because of it, because
Mm,
they want it so bad. But they weren't just sitting there going like, what is Hardee's doing? We got to do
yeah.
what Hardee's is doing. They have one on every
Yeah.
corner or whatever the place you're talking about. But yeah, going off of demand plus your soul. It's like, is this in my soul? Yes. What are everybody who I feel like I resonate with asking for? Everybody's asking for this. You know what? What if I could do that? What if I could answer that
Mm,
question? What if I could create that content that
yep.
everyone wishes existed? Let's do that. See how it works.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And that, that's a good segue to kind of the last thing I really wanted to talk about with you is Rally.
oh yeah, baby.
So yeah, man, we're gonna do a shameless plug for Rally right now.
Let's go.
So 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 feedback or so go off of what you were just saying,
Yep.
and talk about, the demand and the problem that you are seeing and what is
Yeah.
Rally
Yep.
and how is it going to implement with Entersquare and to the marketplace, like because
Sure.
I love what you're doing, so I want to hear more
Yeah,
about it and
absolutely.
then tell our audience about it.
Heck yeah. So the top two things that I hear from brands and creators alike right now in the world of social media is I feel like no one's listening. I'm uploading videos into a sea of people and no one's paying attention. And when I do upload, I feel stuck in not knowing what I should be uploading.
Mm,
And so we hear these from people all the time. A lot of times we're brought in as the team behind the scenes to help remind them this is what you should be doing because you said this resonates, da da da, everything we talked about. And
yeah,
also, here is how we can cheat code to reach that audience with the sometimes it's as basic as consistency. You're not reaching an audience because you haven't uploaded in 6 months. So
yeah,
let's fix that and then
right.
we'll reassess. But there was a moment last year, we're hearing this from audiences. I feel stuck and I can't grow. And I feel stuck on my social and I'm like, where do I go for it?
Mm,
And when I upload, I feel like nobody's listening on these other platforms. And there was one platform where people were starting and have felt since 2019 traction. Shout out Elise Myers. And that's been
hmm,
TikTok. And we were in a very real season last year where TikTok went away 48 hours. It was
yeah,
gone, not downloadable, not like, so you finally have a platform people feel like they're getting traction on, and
yep,
then that platform disappears. And so, we have, since the original days been saying like, there needs to be alternative platforms that people can use to one, help them get the awareness that we know that people can get, and
yeah,
two, that provides ideas on what content to make. And so I had a Slack
mm,
channel that I ran that was like content for creators to make every day. Like it was like every day had a different challenge associated with it. It was like a different name. And we had a great group of creators for 2 years that would just jump in January and do these challenges. And they all different niches from, businesses to musicians to creators to all different niches, but the challenge was the same. And
yeah,
so a whole group, we all got super stoked about seeing what would happen when like a songwriter would write it. Let's say that the title was Lasso and a songwriter would write a song with the word lasso in it. And then one of our animators did a lasso video to it. And then somebody had a poem that was written that they would read out. And then a business owner would, use a lasso in the restaurant and loop someone. And it was this moment where I was like, man, I think there's something here to do something with this.
yeah,
And
crazy.
to help solve that, what should I make? And then when I make something, are we in this together or am I just uploading to a void? And so Rally was born from that. So Rally is a really simple social app that operates very similar to that Slack channel where you have one challenge every week. The challenge of the week right now, the rally of the week is called Song, or it would be Dance or Lasso. And we are creating a place where people create whatever their niche is. They
Mm.
are challenged to use that subject matter in or around their video. And then it's driven by a leaderboard. So we all get to see who is getting the most views, who's getting the most interaction based around that idea.
Yeah.
And it's fun to see what the best idea wins. And so right now we are in such a baby stage. We have a really important feature to that whole I feel like no one's seeing me
Mm.
conversation, which is called integrations. And we were added behind the scenes as a partner on TikTok, YouTube, as well as Meta. And so right now you can connect your TikTok and YouTube account in Rally. And I'll show you guys what that looks like. And so
Yeah.
you can aggregate your following across the different accounts. So I'll connect my TikTok, connect my YouTube, and you can see
Nice.
what people's platforms are at on there. You kind of see that as a total tribe size because
Mm.
though social media has 100% moved interest based, I still believe doing content together with other people, creating together
Yep.
is the most fun I've ever had with content. And it's the most fulfilling things. And I want to make a place where people can trust that that is still happening. I don't want to be
Yeah.
the biggest. I don't want to be the best, but I do believe in this world that social media where we stop just like getting fed things because it's what only I care about. And
Mm.
instead look up and go, the rally of the week is Lasso. And
Yeah.
this guy's looping in. He does finance advice. And he just somehow wove this concept masterfully into his content. And we're all
Massa.
watching it together going like, this is
Yeah.
hilarious. Like we're all on that in that inside joke together. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
Rally's available right now in the App Store.
Yeah.
Integrations are rolling out. We had to have the app live to get integrations approved with all the other platforms. And so being
Nice.
able to get unstuck and now being able to be heard, you can do a lot of fun
Mm.
things with porting in some following from other platforms if in case another platform does disappear. So
Yeah.
you can kind of log that. That's a big feature there. And really just try and find ways to incentivize participation and what it means to jump in together on something. We're really excited to get started because right now we're
Yeah.
starting broad. It is it's one challenge per week for the whole app right now. So a lot of opportunity to get discovered if
Yeah.
you're a songwriter or if you're, a creator and you want people interested in your thing. That is really hard to get on Instagram and TikTok right now or Facebook
Yeah.
because there's so much competition right now. You might get discovered on Rally. We got a lot of really cool creators and things happening behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And who
Awesome.
knows? We might be some cash giveaways in there too. That's one thing that's been fun to see if we can get a
Mm.
sponsor instead of putting money behind the first three positions. It's just kind of a fun
Yeah.
challenge to do every week. But yeah, very stoked to see what's going to happen with Rally. We are going to be about the business of connecting creators, brands to their audiences. And so that looks like
Yep.
being behind the scenes, doing that for them in a strategic capacity and creating tools that do that for them as well. So that's where the
Yeah.
rally, fits what we're really wanting to see happen in the world is really creating tools and places that we can make sure that world change is possible. And so
Yeah.
super stoked to be behind the scenes working on that.
Man.
And thanks for asking about it, truthfully.
Yeah, yeah, man. No, that's I'll just say in closing, man, I think that's something that's like we're in two different worlds, right? Like
Yeah.
social content and finance. But I think
Yep.
one thing that I have really kind of taken away from this conversation is really in our own way, we want people to get back to their why. Like
100%.
get back to the why of like why do you want to be, you know, a specific creator? Why do you want to run a coffee shop? Like, why do you want to run? Like, I want you to go and we want you to go. If you're listening to this, like, we want you to go and do the thing that God called you to do and don't get stuck with all the distractions. One of our mutual friends, Jack Galloway, told me not too long ago. He said, don't get sidetracked. Like, stay focused, stay down and in your lane. Not that you can't expand out and get creative, but like stay on the thing that you're really good at. And I think that that's just I think our mutual advice I would say to
Yep.
the world that's listening to this is like just keep at it, like get comfortable, like do whatever you have to do to get your message to the world because the world might need to hear it. It might be a different message than we're hearing online right now. So
Yeah,
and I
for
think I
sure.
think it's really cool because I feel like Rally is a good place to start
Yeah.
with that. potentially even.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. And I would say too, like, like you had just said, I think being okay with, so many people get down about the views. And it's like if you put 300 people in a room with you and
yeah,
you gave them your attention for 15 seconds, like that's a huge blessing. And don't take that for granted.
yeah,
I think that people get stuck on this virality. And right
yeah,
now, pretty
mm,
much any creator can upload a video and 1,000 people will see it. And so I would just challenge any creator, anybody listening who wants to create content, who has
mm,
the heart to create content, like don't underestimate the one. If you've
yeah,
got one
yeah,
person who is receiving a benefit from your message, that is the game changer.
mm,
You spread from the thing that you got in your gut to one person. And right now it's like you're overlooking the 300, not even the one,
yeah,
being like, I don't even know if I should do this anymore because I just got 27 downloads on Spotify. It's like, bro, 27 people just said thank you. Like,
yeah,
listen to that.
it's
And
good.
when you don't value that, when you overlook the one or the 27, like you don't deserve the 27 million. You don't deserve
Yeah,
them because it's like, one is it's just one,
yeah,
value one.
right.
One person does this incredibly well. It's our friend John Deloney. I
Mm,
went on book tour with him. We had an awesome book tour together, when he first came out with his first book. And if you know John, he is a person who will literally he'll be 10 minutes late for a meeting and spend 45 minutes with the cashier being like, tell me
mm,
what your experience is causing you to be emotional right now.
yeah,
And if you're with him and you got to go somewhere, you're like, bro, we got to go. But he is going to stop and he's going to sit and listen and he's going to like just be
mm,
100% with the person. And people love him. You love him because you sit and you've been a recipient of that at one point. So I would say like be more like John
yep,
and, and Elise and less
mhm,
like people who devalue
mm.
the interaction that you have. And if you're listening to, like, use Britain to do your bookkeeping. That's all I gotta say. Quick shout out for you, dude. Britain has come behind the scenes. He's behind the scenes at Entersquare doing a lot of bookkeeping and projects with me behind the scenes here. And to have somebody that I can trust in the trenches with me providing a different vantage point is it's such a blessing. And we've seen our finances and revenue increase just because there's a trusted source behind the scenes helping go, hey, have you guys thought about this? Or what if we did this? And Britain's done several massive cleanup projects with me behind the scenes on thousands of transactions. And I couldn't have done, we wouldn't be where we are right now if it wasn't for our team and Britain behind the scenes on our team really helping us layer in and
Mm,
do the work we feel called to do
yeah,
and still pay taxes on time, still be playing the games that we know we're supposed to play. And that couldn't happen the way it's happening right now without Britain and crew behind the scenes at Realine. So
yeah, thanks,
just a
man.
quick shout out plug for Britain. And, again, it's keep doing the things that God has called you to lean into doing because it's about the one. It's not about the 27 million. And
Yeah,
when you do that, when you focus on that one, hey, I'm working on this one client project right now. I'm working on this one person's thing. I'm serving
mhm,
this one. Let
mm,
them be the ones to tell their friends that they should work with you. And I think too many people get distracted on the 27 and forget about the one. And so,
mm.
um,
So
if you're listening to, like, I'm honored and blessed to serve a God who takes care of the one, and we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that, And
yeah,
so just keep your chin up, keep making content, keep it one foot in front of the other, one day after the next, and you'll be all right. That's all I
yeah,
gotta say.
BI. That's what we
Be
say
all
around
right.
here. So,
That's
well,
it.
thanks, man. I appreciate the shout out. Appreciate you being on the podcast,
Heck yeah, dude. Thanks for
and
having me.
we'll have to do it again sometime because this has
We will.
been
We'll
really
have you on
good.
our side. How about that? I'll have
Yeah,
you on my
dude. Yeah, we'd
side.
love to. Love to. So,
Absolutely.
all
Cool.
right, man. Well, we'll head out, and we'll see you soon.
Absolutely. See you later, man.
I
Thanks.
do. See you, man.
All right, bye.